YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We've got the 1.8 meter, the 1800 millimeter FMS Ranger. This thing is crazy. It's big. It's got some beautiful features. We did take out the flashing feature on our nav lights because they were flashing, and we replaced the little splitter with the controller, and now it's solid. And we're gonna fly it from a different spot until the sun gets over the horizon. As you can see, we're on a bit of a hill, takeoff flaps. And here we go, flying off 4S 3200, and I might add, gorgeously. Huge. Different perspectives make a big difference, guys. Look how super realistic that looks. Love the forward-facing white light. Oh, so sweet. That's 50% throttle on those corrections. Definitely a lot lighter on its feet. With the 3200 over the 4000 4S, but we got a 17-minute flight time with the 4S. I bet the full-scale pilots wish they had that kind of power. That would be so awesome. But I gotta say, folks, the winds were crazy turbulent earlier. This plane does come equipped with the reflex, at least as we're reviewing it. You can definitely do grass ops if you want, but she loves ground effect, and she will hang out in ground effect until the cows come home. So just be aware of that. Understanding that she loves ground effect. As you can see, she's quite agile too. Stall turn here. She didn't want to stall. That is hilarious. And what did I do to get it flying again? I just let her have her way. Full landing flaps on the way down. That is so much fun. Gotta love it, folks. Take off flaps now. You're just going in the bowl. We're gonna bring it down the runway, and then we're gonna take a pass over our right shoulder, camera crew.
Okay.
We'll do this real slow, full landing flaps, about 15% throttle, going around the UPS stick, and then a little bit of rudder, and just a touch of roll, just to show you how dang slow and realistic and gorgeous this thing can be. With those barn doors, look at that thing. It's slowing it. It's slowing down like to miles per hour, individual miles per hour. Okay, and take off flaps now. We'll just kind of take it down through the pass, out of flaps now. That's full throttle. We'll bring it all the way around and down through the hole. Oh yeah. So guys, this plane is just a joy to fly. We go up and around the Fox and Eagle killing zone. Take off flaps now. I think I'm hearing a semi on the pavement. Okay, full landing flaps here. We'll complete this turn around the Cherry and then bring it down the runway. Absolutely gorgeous, folks. So the 3200 4S definitely does well. I think we're probably gonna get a considerably less life and flight time on it. But as you can see, this plane just loves to give it up. There you go.
Nice.
Kind of janked it a little bit there just to get it off of the grass ops area. And this is not a huge area here. It's about, the size of a city lot, this little corner here. And as you can see, it's a big plane, and she's doing just fine with the takeoff flaps deployed, full landing flaps coming out, and you're gonna get closer to a stall, which means you do need to stay in your throttle even higher. I may even need to back off my landing flaps just a little bit, which sounds crazy. Get out of the flaps altogether, going up and around. Now I'm hearing a manned aircraft. Let's identify. I'll stay nice and low. He's way up there, but he is up there. He's gonna fly right over the property, but he's at probably 1,500 or 2,000 feet. So we're good. We'll just stay right at the tree line. If he wants to crash into my plane, then he will be crashing into the trees first. Oh yeah, he's right there. Mm-hmm. What are we flying up there?
He's
looks like a decathlon. One-wheeled touch. Yeah, he's really low. I could hear it coming around. So I was like, we better man our stations for the manned aircraft. So camera crew is gonna go out in front of me, cross the driveway, carefully get her coordinates. I'll just do some easy peasy cruising around, and we're gonna go and walk back to our normal positions. We love doing these videos for you guys, but we have had some crazy wind today, and we actually got our first true maiden in the can earlier, up and over. And it was just crazy, 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 crazy windy. And the thing is, it was flyable for this thing, no problem. But most of these planes, as you know, they definitely show better in the calm. And so we try to show them in the calm because man, does that look good. Those LEDs are just a hesitation to help you see up against a dark backdrop. Full landing flaps now. Keep going. Take off flaps now. Hey, just to the edge. Like normal, go forward about 3. Thank you. I'm gonna go over the trees here into the backyard. So you guys don't know this, sometimes if you're new to the channel, you may not know our yard actually goes farther back than I'm at. I'm halfway back our yard right now. It goes way in and past, almost past the second tree line. So we actually have a lot of room here. And that's one strip of our land. Okay, camera crew, go toward the center, please. Perfect, thank you. Okay, full landing flaps here. We're gonna try a couple of approaches here. This plane does have incredibly big flaps, as configured at least, the way we did it. But look at that thing. You see it? See how it redirects your position? Same is true with the 1220 millimeter and takeoff flaps now. Full landing flaps now. Trying to set up, get as much space as possible, a little bit of contrary rudder to slow it down. And it's not like you can't get it down. I'm just trying to get it down with the right vector. And it's really hard to get to the exact angle here. And the angle of dangle makes a difference in landing. Coming in over the trees to the low point, just some real light gustiness, about 5 to 6, 7 miles an hour maybe if you're that. Into the flare. You see it walk away from us? I could have stopped it if I wanted, but I'm just gonna keep going because that was a beautiful touch and went. I'm gonna go over into the bull, bring it down in altitude. I'm gonna eat up some of my inertia on the way out of the bull. I'm in takeoff flaps, out of the flaps altogether. Into full landing flaps, into the ground effect. Flare at the end, on the mains, up. We'll turn at the UPS stick and go around the cherry. Full landing flaps now, eat up some of that inertia. Takeoff flaps now, landing flaps now, going over the UPS stick on the mains. And there you have it. We'll make that into a touch and went. And just barely cleared the tree line, which is also just grass in real life. But guys, look at that beautiful mug. This thing is a flyer. You will love it if you get it. I gotta say, compared to the 1220, it's surprisingly harder to fly because you just have so much more capability. And I gotta say, 10% throttle upside down, 15, 30%, 30% throttle upside down, takeoff flaps, watch this. Landing flaps. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, and going inverted. So much fun, guys. So much fun. Got some clouds up there to help with our focus. And just love flying these planes. Love flying the environment, flying the terrain, flying the actual air currents and different things. It makes for a very, very fun time. Let's give these guys a show here. They're watching. Oh boy, oh boy. They're stopping to watch. We'll just bring it right over the tree line. Can't help but feel like we're losing juice. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down over here and just try a nice little landing here. We'll see if we can get it in. Okay, so we're bringing it down, as you can see. You know what though? I can't land here. I gotta land the other way.
Okay.
So we'll bring it around, bring it in the bowl, take off flaps only, eating up some space, full landing flaps here. We'll see if we can get this thing down. A little bit of slip, a little bit of slip, get into ground effect, square up on the runway, and then flare. There it is, guys. See you here first on Brian Phillips RC. If you guys like this type of content, we want you to stay tuned and check out even more. If you want to buy this thing from the links in the video description below, you will absolutely love this plane. It's a great flying plane, flies on 4S, so it's cheaper to battery up than some of the competitive offerings that you've seen in the past. Let's show you the full landing flaps here. Absolutely gorgeous in the air, does great on the ground, does great on pavement, does great on grass, looks very good doing it, and definitely fills every hole that you wanted to fill in your aviation career. And the only thing it doesn't have is thrust reverse, which should come in really handy here because I could probably cut this turn and not make the camera crew move. So guys, throttle cuts on, 2 minutes and 16 left on the 1330. We didn't actually even get a chime from a voltage alarm. That's because this is a Gen 2 3200 50C pack. Felt like it flew really nice on this size and it didn't feel tail heavy. In fact, it felt great. But when we put the 4000 in, I felt like it was actually measuring pretty much perfect between the two marks on the CG. So if you decide to buy this thing, you won't look back for even a minute. It's just an absolutely gorgeous plane. And the fact that the wings come off with 2 screws and 1 clip really makes for a great and easy experience. That being said, we've had easier and we've had harder. I still think this tends itself to be the easiest you can get. It's a 2mm drive, so you would have to bring a screwdriver with you. But that being said, absolutely gorgeous. The only thing this thing lacks is soft mains, not even steerable. I'm not even gonna complain about the steerable, although soft nose would be good too. So if you have steerables that are soft, they tend to dampen some of this, but you just don't have a problem with the pivot on these. What happens is you have a problem with the, I'm gonna jerk you going straight that way. I'm gonna jerk you going straight. And ironically enough, the 1220mm does the exact same thing. So if you guys want a great flying plane, look no further than the Ranger 1.8. You're gonna love it. It flies great. It looks great. It's an easy build. You're gonna be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish with this. And to be honest with you, it's right there in that middle of the size classes. Yes, you go a little bit bigger, but you get heavier and a lot more expensive. Plus you get into 6S. You can go a lot lighter and go into the 1.2 meter or the 1220mm Ranger and get it in a ready to fly. It'd be slightly easier, a little bit more forgiving on the nose gear, but this does have the spring-loaded aluminum oleo, and you will get some forgiveness from that. Also, I think the mains are thin enough on this that they give a lot, you know, in this direction. They just don't tweak this direction, which you don't want that anyway. So that being said, on the 1220, you've got an aluminum bent piece, so it stays nice and square. And if they splay out some, you can always bend them back really easy. These music wire, the thick music wire, don't generally bend back very easy, but they also don't bend out much. They usually come back to their normal form. Also, the LEDs are small but bright. I like the LEDs. Ours came flashing out of box. There is a controller that actually works with the thing. And because you have to take that out, it's one extra step that's a little bit annoying in the build, but otherwise the build is super easy. If you don't mind flashing LEDs on the wingtips, then you won't mind that feature being there. I do, but you can also flip the script and you can make your nose light flash, which is kind of cool. And a lot of real aircraft will do a flashing sequence during landing. So just something to think about. Otherwise, no tail light, not a big deal, but in this size class, it'd be nice to have a little bit of tail light, maybe an anti-crash beacon or some sort of red beacon on the top or the bottom. But like I said, you've got the controller, so it's just as easy as literally finding a red LED, plugging it into the controller and putting it out the back on the top or the bottom, which would be really cool. Also, secondarily, the thing has the kind of like fun cartoon finish, so you're not gonna have to worry about little nicks and scratches and things like that on a beautiful super detailed livery, similar to what you get in the mall. This is gonna be more like the Timber. Okay, it's just gonna be more cartoon finish, no glass. It's very sturdy. It does its job. It's got thick walls, lots of reinforcement. I think it's a good design. I think it's got enough weight to it without being too heavy, and it's got enough strength to it without being too heavy. So those are striking the balance between a light aircraft and something that's underpowered. They've done a really nice job. That being said, for the size that this plane is, there are gonna be some people that want more power. I think it's got plenty of power, but I think there's a little bit more to give on this motor combination. And you could go to a different type of prop if you wanted to accomplish that. Although I must say, the thing will hover, okay? But just for a second, because we don't quite have enough authority on the elevator to accomplish that, okay? So again, that can be changed by changing the holes that you pick on the linkages, okay? That would improve your circumstances if you want to get into more true 3D. But if you want to do true 3D, I would suggest you maybe go up to a 6S power source and go ahead and, I don't know that the motor's going to need to change, but you will get more oomph and you're not going to add that much weight. That being said, I don't think it needs it at all, not even remotely. The other day we did the P51 in the red tail, which is a 1.45 meter. And that one was on the weaker side in terms of power. It got the job done, it looked scale, but you had to fly the energy of the plane. This thing is nothing like that. It's got tons of power, it can do what you want, it can do it on demand. It can do it comfortably. There's power to spare, but it's just not quite over the top power like RV7 power, okay? It's not gonna be quite like carobn-z Cessna 150T power. But let's just compare those two really quick because I know you're thinking it. This one's got tricycle configuration, which I actually really like. That one's got the tail dragger, but the original carobn-z 150, Cessna 150, had this type of configuration, but people complained about the nose gear being weak. I never had it, so I can't speak to that. But I can speak to the fact that we have very rough grass, and it did just fine. So definitely a win-win-win, and I think you guys deserve to have one of these in your hangar. So if you want to get one, make sure you follow the links in the video description below. Other ways to support us if you just don't want this, or you want something else that's out of stock, or this is out of stock, or whatever happens to happen that gives you your excuse, or you're out on this plane, maybe your wife threatened to divorce you like we said. We've got super thanks on YouTube, membership as well. We've also got membership via Patreon, which is monthly support, just like membership on YouTube. And then we also have PayPal. So that'd be like one-time gifts. But just remember, do the friends and family over the donations. The donations actually cost a lot more fees. And you guys may not see that, but then it just kind of, you know, washes out what you guys are trying to do with that. This plane though, if you were to buy that, I would rather you get a plane from the links than support us directly, because that also supports us, but it also supports a little ecosystem where we work with these vendors, merchants, hobby shops, mom and pop shops, manufacturers, distributors, into getting enough of these amazing aircraft to keep the content coming and give you guys a chance to see what they really have to offer. Because here on Brian Phillips RC, we try very, very hard to be as truthful and clear as we can without being totally unreasonable to the manufacturers or totally unreasonable to you guys in the audience. In other words, we don't work for them, we work for you. But at the same time, if we can improve the relationship we have with the best vendors, we're gonna tend to bring you better and better products, because basically the bad ones are gonna disappear. So you're gonna say, bye, and that's okay with us, because we don't have enough time to do the garbage like that. This is a great plane, you'll love it. FMS does a nice job, and they do make a lot of products for a lot of different main brands right now. And so if you see something and it looks similar to FMS, it's probably because FMS makes it. This is a good example of what you can get if you buy the right thing at the right time for the right price. And definitely check out Brian Phillips RC in your free time. Or if you need to compare this to another video and you can't quite find it on the search results on our YouTube channel, because we do, after all, have so many videos, like 1,800 of them, you may need to go over to Brian Phillips RC and look there. We have them sorted by brand and manufacturer, and then we also have them sorted by type. Now also, quick update on the property. We're working through the painstaking process of going through engineering. The engineering is going to be lots of money. To get a $136 permit, it's going to cost us a lot of money, between $10,000 and $15,000, and that's before we break ground. So basically the whole budget on the pond is just like whatever it costs. It's out of control. But we just wanted to let you guys know that if you don't see dirt moving, it's because we are literally toiling through the process since March of 2023. It's now August. And the truth is, we go online and we see other people that are digging ponds and they're like, oh yeah, we did it for $5,000. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Where are these people that work for free? Where do you live? Yeah, and then did you have to like steal somebody's bulldozer to do that? Because we're trying to do everything above board, fully legal, and it's insane, the amount of effort. Yeah. We literally have people that were digging large 1,000-acre lakes in our community doing our project because that's the only way you can legally accomplish it. So as usual, I just want to say a special thanks to the county for making life difficult because I can't legally dig a hole in my yard.
The county and the bats.
And the bats. So anyway, guys, if you want more details, leave us in the comments. We'll try to get back to you. Yes, it's painful, but at the same time, the reason I bring up the pond and the expense is that you guys really are the ones that help make that happen. Okay, I have a day job. We worked for years. We had decades in careers, both Megan and I, working hard and making decent money and, you know, doing the things that we wanted to do, saving and doing without while we did save and supporting the organizations and charities and different things that we wanted to do throughout our lives. And the thing is, when we started this YouTube channel, it became a huge passion of mine, and Megan has just been dragged through it like she loves it. Might be a slight exaggeration. But the thing is, she's so good at it that she can't get out of it. And so that's what's nice for me too. So just remember that we want these mutually beneficial things like ponds and stuff like that. But really, at the end of the day, your support is what helps to give us the ability to even do those things. Yeah. And so we really do appreciate it. And we want to thank you guys for the little bit of sacrifice you do, whether it's just from buying from a link. I mean, that doesn't take much sacrifice. You just follow the link. But the idea is you're helping us to grow this channel and the reach, and we're helping to grow this hobby and the reach that we have within it. And so that always helps to generate something at the bottom line eventually, whether that's today or in 6 months or 2 years or whatever. The opportunities are real. The income is actually real. The airplanes are real, and the hobby is real, and the enjoyment is real, and the longevity of it is really in question. And the big part is we got to make sure we keep fighting to be able to do what we love. And so keep flying in the freest country of the United States of America. And I'm hearing an airplane up there. It sounds like it's having some weird spool issue. Slowing down. Which is very cool. But anyway, this plane is great, and it helps us to get where we want to go. And where I want to go is flying this thing on some floats for you on the other side of that house there, in a big giant hole in our yard that's full of water. Because that's our next stage. And then if you haven't heard it before, the next stage is a 60 by 80 building that's going to have big real airplanes in it. And the next stage is going to be a runway. And yes, that's why the power lines came down. In case you didn't notice it, it actually happened. There are no power lines there, okay? And in case you guys didn't happen to know this, this is kind of like what we looked at the first time we looked at this land. And I was talking to my dad. He was on vacation in Mexico. And I was like, do you think we're insane? And he said, yes. And then like 2 or 3 days later, we were writing a purchase agreement for this property. And then later we bought that property, and later we're gonna buy another piece of property. And we're trying to expand the reach because we need to make it real. And the truth is, guys, this stuff does not happen in a vacuum, okay? It is with toilsome levels of effort for a career. This didn't happen because of YouTube, but YouTube has helped at the end. So in case you guys didn't ever wonder what's going on here and how'd you get a runway and how do you end up where you are, work your butt off for 30 years and you'll understand. And we're only 30 years into it. We still got another 30 to go. Just ask the bank. But anyway, in closing, amazing plane. You will love it. I think you should buy one. If you don't like this plane and you want something else, I'm not trying to pick on you, but just want to let you know that this is a good choice. So don't step over it waiting for a better one, because this thing is awesome. And I think you will truly, truly enjoy it. And by the way, you don't need a huge place to enjoy a plane like this, even though it's big. And that is a little bit unusual because when you get big planes, you generally need big locations. The area that you see between these trees here is about probably 2.5 acres. Mm-hmm. The area past is probably another 25 acres that you see. The area behind us is you know, maybe another 1.5 acres between us and the first tree line. But we have behind that too. And when this pond goes in, it's gonna open it all up together. It's gonna be super cool. And I think you guys are gonna love it because we're gonna share the details as we go along, and hopefully we don't bore you. Trust me, it's very boring doing a project like this. 6 months of boredom and frustration.
Mostly reading documents.
Reading legal documents from the
Super
federal
fun.
government who thinks they own your land.
Yep, my favorite.
All right, guys, you get it all here. First, I'm Brian Phillips, RC. We're doing this because we love you guys as an audience. The world's best audience in YouTube history right here on Brian Phillips, RC. So tell your friends about us and check out these planes when you see them in the thumbnail. Anything you want to add, camera crew?
That's it.
All right, thanks for watching. Come back for more. Coming really soon. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips, 1800 millimeter Ranger from FMS. Huge, beautiful. Can't wait to fly it for you right now. You'll notice I don't have flashing LEDs. We actually took that feature out. The tail, or the nose gear, has a light in front of it in the cowl, and it's a solid light, so I went ahead and eliminated that. So if you're surprised by that, takeoff flaps, landing flaps, and we are using the reflex. As you can see, this thing is big. 1800 millimeters is a good size plane, and without further ado, that's half throttle, and look at that thing get in the air beautifully. Out of the flaps. Now there's no AS3X or safe, but there is reflex, and that does allow for auto leveling, takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Holy cow, we need a little bit more down elevator correction. It's very much, holy cow. Okay, so out of that, 50% throttle. Here's 100. Oh man, that thing just goes. Look at that, almost unlimited vertical. Awesome, folks. Loving the way this thing moves. It's windy. Camera crew's gonna come out here and go back toward the bull. Very good. Just work your way back to the bull there. Wow, that thing looks good. 30% throttle now. Man, love the way this plane is flying. Reflex is working great. Love the way the colors pop. That is gorgeous. Lots of coordination to get that nice line. And we are in turbulence. There's our takeoff flaps. We're gonna do full landing flaps here. I need to get some, holy cow, that thing, wow. Did you see what happened there? That was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Okay, stay where you are there, camera crew, please.
Okay.
I'm gonna go way wide and we're gonna see if we can take a landing. I wanna change my flap setting. I went 8 and 12, and I'm probably gonna need like 10 and 25. Okay, no flaps, takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Look at that thing balloon like crazy. Got some real barn doors going. Okay, camera crew, you good? Okay, getting that nose, keep that nose pointed down, folks. Look at this thing. Like a docile little creature, but I did not get the landing. I need you back 4 steps toward me. There you go, right there. Thank you. Okay, out of the flaps altogether. That wind is deceiving because we have a lot of thermal activity going on right here, guys. And remember, when you're flying a bigger plane, be careful to respect your size. It's sometimes kind of hard to tell. Okay, full landing flaps kicking in. Trying to slow it down and bring it right down. Oh man, rock hard, pivotty, pivotty. Okay. No thrust reversey. I'm gonna go off in the grassy. Okay, throttle cuts on. You guys aren't gonna be able to see this very well, but we'll try our best. Click, scroll down to flap system. Go from 12 to 25 and go from 8 to 12, okay? So 12, then 25, and we're gonna look down there and we're gonna try to do this, okay? That plane is sitting there. It's probably got some ruts and stuff. Throttle cuts off. The wind is from our kind of a weird angle. Full up elevator, you guys see that? Full up. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can taxi. Oh yeah. Okay, it's supposed to be a STOL plane, so full landing flaps. Oh my goodness, that is awesome. And with the wind, I must say, it's nuts how slow that thing flies. The problem is the turbulence is not being nice to me because of it. Okay, so takeoff flaps, they work very well, and it looks like the 12% keeps us nice and level. Now, full landing flaps, I need more. I need more than 25, that's crazy. Got that nose, forcing the nose down, folks. Forcing the nose down. And look at that thing. Even with those barn doors, it just carries so much inertia. By the way, our timer is set for 5 minutes. I think we're gonna need a lot more because we are flying on 4,000 4S. And basically what we have here is we have an apparatus where we're getting into the thermal action. And I think what's happening is we're losing our lift at the wrong time. There's wind coming from all directions. That's me, not the plane. Okay, just keeping in the throttle, get that nose pointed down. Okay, watch yourself, just in case. A little bit of slip, and there it is, guys. It just rolls, 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 trying to wiggle, trying to wiggle. Okay, good, we wiggled. Turning it around, staying on the driveway this time. Okay, throttle cuts on. We're gonna adjust our flaps one more time. Click, scroll down to the flap system. So instead of 25, I'm gonna go up to 30. So 12 and 30, okay? If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about when takeoff flaps are deployed, we have 12% correction onto our elevator, and we have 30% correction with landing flaps. That's our timer. We're getting pushed down the hill by the wind. Let's go real slow. Full landing flaps here, a little stall action. That's about 30% throttle. Oh, that's so cool. I almost didn't touch the elevator to get that thing to roll. That was so cool. Now, real quick, let's talk about auto leveling. I'm just in a roll here. There's auto level, okay? A little bit more throttle. We'll just fly it for a second with the auto leveling on. As you can see, when I let go, it just kind of brings it to a nice level attitude. Okay, very good. So that'll be good for people that are trying to learn to fly, but it's not gonna be something that you're gonna want if you're an experienced flyer. You're gonna want to shut that off. Most people don't like having auto leveling once you've gotten to learn how to fly. Nice stall turn there. Guys, this thing has some juice. You can do whatever you want with it, but I'm gonna tell you something about this plane that's interesting. We haven't done a cornhole for a while. One thing that's interesting about it is it only got a 12, what's it, a 12.875 prop or 775?
Or a 12.75.
12.75, that might be what it is. So, I mean, I just thought it was kind of a weird size class for how big of a plane it is. But that is a nice prop. It's like, feels like a prop that you would be able to use in a gasser. But as you can see, this thing just kind of does whatever you want it to do. And it does a really nice job of it. And I love the green. The green is beautiful. Hopefully you're getting good focus up there, camera crew, with the clouds. Trying to give you guys something for a backdrop, a reference, similar to the trees that we use down here in the bowl. But as you can see, this thing is really fun to fly. It's really got a little bit of decent speed to it. And it's got a lot of power, guys, like near unlimited vertical. There, it just finally stalled out on its climb, but then immediately got back into the controls. As soon as you get the thing flying, it's golden. Feels like it's more than 4S, folks. Careful, toward me just a hair. Good job. Because you're not used to seeing 4S's this capable. And I gotta admit, we got a lot of turbulence up in the air today, but it's definitely doing the trick because we have enough power to get out of trouble. And by the way, we're not talking about a short flight time here. We've been up for like 8-9 minutes now. Let's try doing a prop hang here. We'll do it kind of up here, a little bit higher. Yeah, maybe not enough for a prop hang, folks, or maybe it's just too turbulent up there. I'm gonna try transitioning into a prop hang a little bit different, see if I can get it to stay. Okay, so here's our prop hang attempt number 2. Oh yeah, we got a little bit of prop hangage there, but not quite enough on the elevator pitch access to kind of keep it where I want it, you know what I mean? So that being said, maybe with the smaller pack, you got a little bit lighter weight. Camera crew, a little bit to your left. Thank you, right there. Wind, crosswind here, watch what happens to it. We get into the bowl. There is some pretty significant wind today. Gotta admit, makes flying a little bit more challenging, but this plane helps you to tame it. And also just want you guys to see that ground effect that I hit when I go out of the bowl. I don't know if you can see that, but it's crazy the amount of uplift. Look at that.
Wow.
Jeez. And you can tell that's not me because I'm just going straight and level, and then it just goes up like 40 feet. Same thing there. I don't know if you could see that thermal expansion. It's just crazy. Now, that doesn't mean that the plane is bad by any means, and I don't want you guys to think I'm trying to find any fault with this. I love this Ranger. It's very fun. Funny thing is, when you're talking about the 1300 millimeter, or excuse me, the 1200 millimeter Ranger, look at this, upside down flight, out of a stall. That's the type of power you're dealing with, guys. Look at that, amazing. You gotta love it. Let's try it again. We'll just do a little upside down flight, see if we can do some pseudo coordinated turns here. Coordinated with the wind. Yes, I'm way up there. I know it doesn't count as much if I'm not down by the ground, but I am flying upside down in turbulent winds through thermals, and we'll just continue that effort. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go take off flaps, landing flaps. The 30 has helped a lot, folks, on the elevator. Feels like there's a lot less ballooning, a little bit of slip here just to get it to the ground. And then, geez, even then I got caught in some major ground effect. Got to admit, one thing that's funny about this plane is I thought that it would be a little bit softer on the landings, but it is just as aggressive at pulling itself straight, just like the trainer in the 1.2 meter. Okay, trying again. We got a heavy wind. I'm gonna slip, 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 and then just see what happens. Oh, yep, just depending on that little gravitational advantage. I don't know if you guys can tell, but there is a huge disparity in wind, and it's going right down the runway. That windsock was stuck straight out as I did that. Now, we can feel it as a pilot, but we can't always tell exactly what direction it is out on the center of the runway because we're not there. Full landing flaps, we're just gonna glide into it here. A little bit of slip, 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 a little bit of slip. Get that nose down, Brian, get that nose down. Let it fly, let it fly, let it fly, let it fly. Oh man, the flare. I didn't have the time to roll into the flare there. So guys, I can tell you one thing about this plane. It's definitely more of a handful than I thought it was gonna be. And the thing is, that's probably because of the scarcity of calmness right now. If you fly a plane in calm, they seem a lot easier to fly than what they are in crazy wind. And there's a lot of planes that wouldn't even do this amount of wind. I'm gonna try a different line here. Different weird line. There we go, there we go, there we go. Trying to hit the mains, but look at that, guys. It just really janks it in a path that I don't expect it to. And I'm gonna roll off into the grass. Now let's talk about this. I'm still 6 minutes 33 past my timer of 5 minutes. I'm gonna try a little back taxi here, rough ground up there. Let's see if we can take off again. Take off flaps this time. Get that nose wheel off the ground, and there it is. By the way, spring-loaded aluminum oleo on the nose gear. And we haven't even heard one chirp. We keep hearing a dog bark though.
Where's that coming from?
I don't know. I'm not sure because we don't have dogs.
Nope.
And we don't have neighbors either. So here it is, folks. Really enjoy this plane. It's definitely fun. Is it quite the experience as the competitive offerings of similar? Like for instance, the 2 meter carobn-z Cessna T. Whoa. I don't know. I'm gonna just say right now, let's do some grass hops though. I wanna see how well it slows down. This one definitely, without thrust reverse, I didn't think that'd be such a big factor. I'm gonna go right overhead this time. Okay. And then go into my base leg, way different. Different configuration this time. Full landing flaps now kicking down. Trying to keep the thing flying. A little bit of slip, a little bit of slip, a little bit of slip. Don't slip out of the sky though. And there we are. Ooh, overshot. I don't like that angle. We're gonna go around this way this time. Go around the Fox and Eagle killing zone. That's a very dangerous place for any FMS planes. In case you guys were wondering, I've crashed both there. I also flew an F-15. That was actually an FMS plane, but it was marketed through an E-Flight product. Okay, so we got to slip, 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 slip. Get over the tree line, get over the tree line. There we go, okay. Down you go, down you go, down you go, down you go. Down you go, down you go. Oh, come on. Ground effect, yes, you finally worked for me once. Okay, so throttle cuts on, that's 8 minutes and 30 past our timer, folks. That's crazy. That's a long flight. Takeoff flaps now. Throttle cuts off. Full up elevator. We're gonna back taxi just a little bit. Oh, shoot, I took off. Dang it. They do advertise this plane as a STOL. Camera crew, move to your left 3. Thanks, perfect. Now I'm at 50% and I'm hearing a diminishing power state. No, can't be. I haven't heard my alarm at all. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Slip, 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 slip. Woo! You know what it is? It's the tall grass. It's the tall grass. Another grass ops, guys. This thing does it all. Super impressive performance. And I gotta say, I normally don't like to blame my poor skills on wind, but I'm gonna say, look at that wind. Deceiving. That thing was straight out at one point. It's been straight out on a couple of different points. The other day, for you guys, it would have been recently, but a couple weeks ago, we had a big storm front come through while we were filming the P-51 Red Tail. It was crazy. This is not crazy like that, but it's still definitely windy. Now, I must say also, I don't want to blather too much longer. In fact, I'm going to take off while blathering. I got to say, this plane has definitely got a lot of good things going for it. One complaint I have is that I had to switch out the controller so I didn't have flashing LEDs. I do not like flashing nav lights. I know some of you guys share my feelings about that. Let's go up on the runway if we can get it there. Yeah, buddy, good job. Must say also, the thing looks absolutely fantastic. Good ground handling, but it definitely could use some soft mains. The nose gear actually is not a problem for the hard tire, but I would say soft mains would help a ton. So you get yourself some Dubro 3-inchers and you're gonna have a great experience. It's gonna be better than what we're dealing with. But I must say that thing looks absolutely fantastic in the air. Even at this relatively calm moment in our flight, full landing flaps here, even into the throttle, we'll try like just kind of, we'll keep it in the power about 15%, 20% now. And look at this, look how gorgeous that is. In ground effect, but you see you've got that bounce in the landing gear and it is hard to overwhelm that. Could just be because we've picked a little bit bigger battery. They did suggest 3,300 to 4,000, didn't they? Mm-hmm. This is a this is a 4,000 Smart Pack full landing flaps now. Let's just do takeoff flaps and see how far it wants to overshoot. A little bit of slip, 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 a little bit of slip. Look at that, guys. We're gonna miss our runway. Okay, out of the flaps all together, over the cherry tree, over the second set here in a second. And we're over now and coming back down. We'll try for a little bit faster line here. We're not gonna land, obviously. Full speed pass. Beautiful, guys. I gotta say, I really like the way this plane is configured. It was a relatively easy build. Didn't have a lot of effort involved in it, and it just kind of went together. One thing I can definitely say about it is it's definitely more challenging to fly than I expected, given its big brother and little brothers and sisters. Landing flaps now. Love watching the shadows while I'm in landing formations. Oh, yes. Oh, so good. Finally, I got a greasy one. I was not going to end this, but yet again, I'm only 12 minutes past our 5. So that would be, for those of you that aren't good with math, 17 minutes. I did blather for admittedly about 1 minute of those 17. So let's just call it closer to 16 minutes of beautiful flight time. And I gotta say, I am really enjoying the performance of this beast. Takeoff flaps now. When is this thing gonna die?
I don't know, but I'm hoping my camera doesn't beat me to it.
Okay, camera crew, I'll just push it hard until we get to a beep. Guys, this is all the stuff that kills your batteries, folks. 4,000. 4,000, 4S here. IC3 connector hooked up to the XT60. Oh, there it is. Okay, getting into final. That is a consistent beep. It's gonna stop probably by the time we land. Yep, it's not yet. We're gonna see if we can get a greasy landing if we're really lucky. Did you guys see that jank at the end of that? Mm-hmm. Oh, the worst,
that was the worst
possible landing ever. Ah, of course. Okay, 13 minutes and 18, 13 minutes and 2021, plus 5 minus 1 for blather. That means that you got almost 17 solid minutes of flight time, and I wasn't not pushing it. That is a pretty phenomenal fly time, folks. In fact, I'm gonna change my timer right now from 5 minutes because what's gonna happen is my next flight, I'm gonna get 5, and it's gonna be like, okay, so I got 17. So why don't we just set it to 15? Let's go to 13 and a half, and that's gonna be a safe bet. 13 and a half minutes is a long flight, folks. That's 1,800 millimeters. It's not a small plane.
No.
And that's on 4S. It's not like a 6S, it's just a powerhouse. The thing is powerful enough, but not so powerful that it's insane. A couple complaints about the way the plane flies. I don't know if you guys could tell, but it felt like I had to do a little bit of trimming on the elevator, or I actually didn't do the trimming, but it felt like it wanted to nose down just a hair. Also, very aggressive elevator correction for the flaps. Admittedly, I could have probably done less barn doors because I did overdrive on the downward sweep to 145 instead of 125 like I did in a fully parked position for normal flight mode. So if I put that back to 125, that'd be more consistent with the barn doors we'd expect to see on a plane this size, okay? I do love having big barn doors, but you have to admit, I'm getting really kicked in the butt by this ground effect over here. There's 2 little bumps. It starts out here, bumps down, and bumps up, and then drops off, and it goes down like 60 feet, okay, into my neighbor's property. But the thing is, this little bit of change and ground effect is bigger than you might expect, because I could go stand in there, and it's gonna be this deep on my leg, okay? That's the entire height of the plane. So as you know, ground effect is where the molecules of air are compressed before they hit the ground. So they don't disrespect dips. They absolutely administer them right there. Yeah. So when I come up over the crest of the hill into a near stall, and then I get caught nose into it, especially with a little bit of wind going down the runway, can cause some strange conditions. That's not to say that I, as a pilot, should not be responsible for that. I am. But I just want you guys to understand that's a factor that you may not have if you have a nice smooth approach that goes out. But then over here, same thing. As we crest this hill, there's a little bit of a wave, and then it drops down. That's why I follow that line, because I know what the line's gonna do. If I come too close to the house, I get this weird tapering, and then it drops off all at once, and my plane wants to drop down into a blind spot for me. So really like the way this plane flies. I like flying the terrain. I like flying it up against the trees. It's very easy to see. The flaps are effective. The landing gear could definitely use a little bit softer tires. That's probably my biggest complaint on this plane. Soft tires are cheap and easy to install. Definitely, if I'm gonna complain about something, that's it. But otherwise, there's a little bit of chatter in the mains. Again, that would go away if you use a softer tire. And so I would suggest that you consider getting some Dubro low bounce tires, or possibly some of the other pneumatic offerings that you can find, or maybe even just take some off of like an Apprentice that's been crashed. It's just foam, and then they'd be nice and soft and a little bit more forgiving. But beyond that, I mean, honestly, I am stretching to find things to complain about on this plane, because they are really, it's a good plane. I think you're gonna enjoy it. If you're into the Ranger, you're gonna like this. But I am gonna warn you, if you're a new pilot, this plane is a lot harder to fly than the 1.2, which sounds crazy because it's literally the exact same plane, just blown up. Generally, people would say it's easier to fly a bigger plane. I'm just gonna tell you this, it's got power and it's got presence, but the thing is not light. Because it's not light, you're gonna get bit quicker and more aggressively by stalls. Okay, this plane has what seems to be a narrower wing chord and higher wing loading than you might experience on the 1220 millimeter, because that's what it is, 1220. I didn't measure it, but that's the way it flies, okay? So just take my word for it. If you're looking for something that's easy to fly, this is not a bad choice. But if you're looking for something that's easier to fly with lower consequences, go with the 1220 in the ready to fly. You'll be very happy. Or as a plug and fly, and then you can do it the way we've done it with some of our other planes. In fact, we reviewed the Ranger 1220, both in a plug and fly and a ready to fly configuration. So you can watch either in the playlists right now. They're already available. So FMS, good job. Sweet plane. Love the way it looks in the air. Love the easy build. Love the fact that there's no glue. Love the fact that we had no problems getting the CG to work out with the provided, or not the provided, but the suggested battery size. Also keeping in mind that 4S 4000 and a smart pack will tend to self-balance. And admittedly, that happens to be a new pack. It's a Gen 1, so we do have the balance lead. If you got a Gen 2 and you didn't have the balance lead, you could set your timer for, 12, 13 minutes, so you'd be totally fine. Unless you're sitting up there doing prop hangs for 10 minutes, and then you're probably gonna run out quicker. But that being said, I feel like it's not such a powerhouse. It's kind of hard to tell when you're losing battery life. Some of these planes that you fly close to, 100% throttle, this one I can fly at 100% throttle, but it's not a powerhouse. 6S puts you into the powerhouse status, if you ask me. So if you think about the difference between the Husky Ultimate and the Husky, both made by FMS for arrows, the Ultimate is a 6S, the Husky is just a 4S, okay? The difference is the Ultimate, your throttle cuts on. Your throttle's gonna be riding here and you'll be cruising fast. This is insane. This is cruising fast. So the difference between a correction on landing is this, okay? The difference between correction on landing on a lesser powerful plane is this, okay? And that honestly is the difference between success and failure for a new pilot. I know it seems so minor. You're telling me a 1/2 inch difference in your stick position is the difference between failure and success. Absolutely, 100%, that's what I'm telling you. So you can test it and then let me know if you thought I was right. I was gonna say when you know I'm right, but I'll be nice. It's not rocket science. When you've flown a few planes, you'll figure it out. The difference between throttle positions makes a big difference on crash or not on a bad landing. That was a terrible landing too. It's super embarrassing because that was the last landing. And to be honest with you, I like to ride the batteries to their grave on my Maidens because that's what we do here on Brian Phillips RC is we ride them until they don't ride no more. So other beneficial things about this plane is the fact that it's big, but it comes apart pretty easy. So if you have a smaller car or truck and you can't get that big thing in there, which by the way, it should pack well with another low wing plane or maybe another jet or something like that you might typically bring with an everyday flyer like this because the wing sits high enough. The wing strut is inboard a lot, so it doesn't reach way out and then cause that like dead zone where you can't put anything. So that's nice. Also, because there's only 2 screws and 1 clip on each wing, you can just undo 1 wing and lay it underneath, and then you've got tons of room next to it, so you can put it even in a car trunk. So very happy. Now, if you take off both wings, it gets real small, but I wouldn't want to have to take off the tail because the way the rudder unplugs, it'd be a pain. And then you'd have to undo your linkage for the elevator. So definitely suggest if you're going to take it apart, you plan on taking 1 wing off at a time and see if you need the second wing. That being said, great plane, good job FMS. If you want to buy one to help support Brian Phillips RC by following the links, do just that, follow the links. We'll link to the plane, the receiver of choice, and the battery, as well as the alternative receiver if you do it without a reflex, okay? Now you can always get the more expensive receiver if you want telemetry, but I wouldn't suggest it. I would suggest just getting it with the reflex. The reflex works fine on this. You can hold down your cost a little bit if you do that. But if you don't want to do a reflex and you want to just do AS3X and safe, this plane is set up so similar to other planes that we've done with AS3X and safe that you should have no problem potentially even following one of those planes and then just setting it up the same way. Might have to tweak your flaps a little bit and your elevator correction just a touch, but it is subjective anyway. Also, if you want to support us directly, but you don't like this plane or you don't want one like it, or maybe you've got too many planes and your wife is threatening to divorce you if you get any more, well, if you're going to stay married, you could do super thanks, memberships on YouTube, or you can do membership through Patreon, or you could do one-time gifts through PayPal. Those are the easiest ways. Just remember on PayPal, the donations carry a larger fee for us, which means less of your money goes to expanding this. And if you do friends and family, there's no fees, generally, unless you're overseas.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way. And also the batteries are about to die. So we're going to wrap this thing up. Thanks guys so much for watching. Unbox Build Radio Setup published 1 minute before this video. You can check it out in the playlist for this plane if you don't know. And if you can't find a plane you're looking for, go to brianphillipsrc.com and you can sort by manufacturer brands or you can sort by type. And that's the easiest way to do it and help support Megan. She's been working her butts off on that. And we appreciate you guys being with us here on Brian Phillips RC. Stay tuned, so much more coming right around the corner.